right, I'm making the video and hopefully I'll edit out that little walk-in thing. We'll see. Okay, so let's get right to it. I never got my 2024 look back done. I may still do it, who knows. But I'm already well into January, so I'm going to go ahead and look forward. What are my tarot goals for 2025? Let's get a little more comfortable here. So, as sort of a bonus comment, I'm moving my tarot journal from a paper journal onto a tablet because I am aware as I get older, and this does fit into my overall theme that I'm going to be talking about, that having a lot of stuff, and I deliberately just set up my camera here, letting all this junky stuff just be here. Well, it's not junk, but it's like piles. Because as I get older, I realize that the more things I have, the greater a burden it is to take care of those things, and how taking care of all those things takes time and energy that I might be using for something more rewarding for me. So I am going to be looking to consolidate, be more purposeful in my tarot practice and in my tarot acquisitions. And so I'm going to try to coordinate my tarot practice in 2025 with more closely aligned with my 2025 aspirations, goals, resolutions, intentions, whatever you want to call it. Tea break. Drinking tea is a constant with me all the time. Oh, so good. Which reminds me, find something that you enjoy today and just be there for it. All right, let's get to it. In no particular order, 5 things that I'm going to focus on. So if you're not subscribed and you want to see these videos, be sure to hit that subscribe and I guess the bell. I can't really figure out the algorithm why things show up, but it doesn't hurt, right? So go ahead and do that if any of these things sound of interest to you. All right. So of the 5 things, not prioritized, right? So goddess stuff. In Syria, I'm trying not to be reactive, but what's happening in the world around me does affect me. And when I try to do my 2 of Pentacles thing, balancing it out, I take what's happening in the world outside me into consideration. In Syria, everybody, I think, mostly was happy that the Assad regime is gone. But with the more super conservative Islamic people who are now going to come into power, some things are going to happen. One of the things that's happening is textbooks are being revised. Here in the U.S., we know about that already. So textbooks are being revised to eliminate any kind of religious beliefs that predate I think I'm saying this right, Abrahamic faiths. So that would be Judaism, Christian, Muslim. So anything that has to do with the goddess, and Syria is, the cradle of, we could think of it as Western civilization, one of those places where these things come from. They're taking it out. So children are going to have textbooks that have no reference to anything, well, any student, I guess, no reference to anything other than, patriarchal religious beliefs. So I want to be more purposeful in my use of goddess thing, the goddesses in my decks that I use in 2025. Just trying to help provide a balance for these energies that are out there in our world today. If you're in the U.S., then you know that in some classrooms, we are now having the 10 Commandments posted there. It's a law. You've got to have I think Louisiana, maybe Texas, I don't know where, but it's coming. It is coming. And the 10 Commandments that's patriarchal stuff. I'm not saying they're bad, but it's rooted in patriarchy, and I'm not a fan of patriarchy. So I'm going to be looking to, fight patriarchy, or, there's a more positive way of looking at it, and that comes to my second goal in 2025, and that is DEI decks. Yes, I said it. DEI decks. And that will probably be the first video that I do in this little series where I drill down on these focus points. So I'm going to be looking at decks, and I'm going to be looking for diversity, equity, and inclusion as a way of balancing out what the society that I live in is communicating to me right now with our current political situation. It's not okay with me. So I'm going to be promoting and using the DEI decks. So if you're curious about what that's going to look like I said, subscribe so you can see what I have to say, and please join in the conversation, because my library, what I'm aware of is it's just me. So you may have something really useful that you could contribute to this conversation that I would appreciate. So I would like that. You can drop it here. You can wait till that video comes out and drop it there. But please, let's help each other. Okay. Beware the hotness. I'm calling this one Beware the Hotness, but it's also FOMO fighting. Hashtag FOMO fighting. So if you are on TarotTube, and you are, or you wouldn't be watching this video, you are aware that there are a lot of people who do reviews. They keep track of Kickstarters, and they get very enthusiastic about new decks, or sometimes they're decks that have been around for a while, but they can be really, really enthusiastic about it. And I think I've got my finger on the pulse of this, that's called like hotness. There's hype around a deck or decks, and a lot of people are talking about it. And so you can get swept up in that. It's like standing in the surf, and the waves are crashing and pushing you in that direction. More tea. And what I'm looking to do is to be more analytical, to use critical thinking about the hotness. Beware the hotness. Almost like if I start to get caught up and feel really enthusiastic about something because everybody's talking about it, then that's like the yellow sign for me, like yield, FOMO fighting, and think about whether that's really good tech for me, or it's just, everybody's excited about it. Maybe I don't really care. Like, it's kind of like, for me, sports. Like when people around me get super pumped up about some team and what's happening, and they're like, yeah, fly Eagles fly. I mean, actually I am kind of enthusiastic about that, but do I really care? I'm like, am I really going to spend my resources on that? Just being more of a critical thinker about the hotness. So that's one. Another one is I started to study the Stoics, that form of philosophy, Stoicism. And I'll be talking more about it in that video, but like Mel Robbins, speaking of the hotness, Mel Robbins has this book out called Let Them. And people are really like jumping all over this idea of let them. And the idea is, when people do things that you just let them, so what? Let them. And that's a Stoic philosophy. It also taps into cognitive behavioral therapy, but right now I'm sort of doing the Stoic stuff, and I've got some resources, and so I'm going to be looking at my decks through that lens of Stoicism and saying, well, does this one support that Stoic mindset, which I want to be fostering in 2025. So more on that in a future video. I'll have books, and I'm going to share my resources for these things that I'm interested in, especially this patriarchy thing. I've got a great video series, and so that will be in the DEI decks that I'm going to talk about that. Looking at my little notes here. See, I talked about Beware the Hotness, talked about Stoicism, DEI, Goddess. Okay, Now, I started out by talking about having too much stuff. Did I say it that way? But that's what I mean. I have too much stuff because I haven't always been aware of the hotness. Well, to be fair to myself, my collection really grew during COVID and I didn't have a lot of options for expanding my experiences. So fair, but does it still serve me now? I'm not sure. And that's getting to this next thing, which is another part of my 2025, what I'm doing with that this year is I want to be in love with my life, like in love with my life, have that feeling um, mm, like when I'm going to see somebody that I care very much about, I get up in the morning, I know I'm going to see that person, and I feel kind of a little bit giggly about it, right? Can I foster that feeling about my life? What a question. Can I do that? I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be experimenting with this. I'm going to be keeping an open mind about it. And one of the things I realize is that when I walk into this room, which is where I have all my decks, it's almost overwhelming. So it's like, okay, I want to whatever with my reading today. And in days past, I would look at all these decks and I felt wealthy. I was like, wow, which one shall I pick? And now I realize it's too much. I don't need this many decks. And so being in love with my life means I want my collection to spark joy, to, go back to Marie Kondo it a little bit. I wanted to spark joy. So I'm going to be looking at all my decks over the course of the year through these various lenses. So this is my fall in love with my life. I want to be in love. I want to feel in love with my deck collection. And that means I need to like them all. So I'm going to have to look at something like, let's say I'm looking around right now. Let's say I'm looking to get rid of decks that don't meet my DEI criteria. I'm going to let it go. And I'm not going to let it go to a purgatory drawer. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to rehome it somehow. Maybe I'll sell it. Maybe I'll give it away. There's one deck which shall remain nameless, which I felt was so very much not DEI. I literally threw it away. I was like, I don't want it, and I don't want to be responsible for anybody else having it. I literally threw it in the trash. Sacrilege. Yeah, I did. And I don't feel bad about it, actually. So that's it. That's what I'm going to be working on in 2025. So I may even edit this video and make it look neat, and I don't know. Will I do that? Who knows? Anyhow, if any of these subjects interest you, if you've enjoyed this video at all, please hit the like button. It does help me, helps my channel. And even though I realize that I make these videos in some way to crystallize my thoughts, to get them into some kind of shape, and to record them for myself, I do know that sometimes they help other people, which is nice. You do want to be contributing to the world. So if this contributed to you in any way, if you have something you'd like to share and contribute to the conversation, please leave a comment, hit the like button, and thanks for stopping by. Bye.